Okay, cool. So let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Rescue Your Cloud Data Warehouse with SingleStore. I'm Diogo, and I'm excited to be your guide today. Let's go over a few quick points before we start. We are recording this session, so you can watch it later. You can watch it again later. You will be in a listen-only mode during the webinar, but please ask questions anytime by using the Q&A feature at the bottom right of your screen. We will answer all questions after the main presentation. Once we are done, we will send you an email with a link to the recording. If you need to get in touch or have more questions, please email us at team@singlestore.com. So let me introduce to our speakers today. We have Dave Eiler with us. He's the Senior Director of Product Management at SingleStore, and Abhinav, the Director of Product Marketing at SingleStore. Please give Dave and Abhinav a warm welcome. The stage is all yours, Dave.
All right, thank you so much, Diogo. So I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to give you an agenda, what we're going to cover today. The first thing is I'm going to talk about some of the challenges with existing data warehouse and data lake approaches. I'm going to talk about a better architecture with SingleStore, and then I'm going to hand it over to Abby, and he's going to talk about, whether you want to augment or replace that data warehouse or data lake. So let me begin by talking about the kind of traditional data flow and analytics. You got some data sources, could be, applications, could be, Kafka sensors, could be IoT, who knows what it is. We're generating a ton of data, right? We want to do analytics on it. One way is I can move it into a kind of transactional database, and then from there, I can go over to the data warehouse or lakehouse. I can also try to stream it, via some kind of Kafka product. Look at all the products, look at all the time and money you're going to be using to effectuate this entire system, which is not going to solve all your needs. And that's what I'm going to get into. How do we make this better? There's really three big challenges with big data warehouses and lakehouses in this domain. Stale data. You're trying to do something real time. The data's got to be piping hot and fresh so it can be used to make the right decisions, and they just can't do that. The second one is these products cannot support front office applications. They're back office products. I'm going to talk more about that. And the third one is costs. It's what we're all, huge factor, huge consideration. Costs is going to be a huge difference between these solutions. All right, so let's go a little deeper into the first one, stale data. When you're ingesting from these data sources, you're going to have the first bottleneck be when you're ingesting, and that's because the ingestion has to go all the way down to the cloud object store where it gets written, which does not do write fast, and on top of that, cannot do in-place updates and upserts. And this is going to take forever. And so when you get around to finally querying the data, it's going to be stale. There's no way around this. SingleStore is built to solve this problem, and you can't do it with traditional data warehouse and lake houses. All right. The second challenge is you can't support front office applications. What do I mean by front office? I'm talking about things that matter, things that are for your customers, things that are for your partners. These are even for your executives. We have a $1 trillion customer who looks at their executives like their customers, so they use us, right? So a front office application is something with extremely demanding requirements. Data warehouses and lakehouses are a back office solution. They are a cost center, and they're made to serve analysts. So when you try to use a back office solution to serve a front office application, you get long wait times, you get outages, unhappy customers, unhappy key stakeholders. To do a front office analytical app, you need really low latency queries, really high concurrency, and really high availability. All right, so now, of course, the data warehouses and the lake houses propose workarounds to this. Let's talk about one of those proposed workarounds. This is an image from a Databricks blog entitled "Latency Goes Sub-Second in Apache Spark Structured Streaming." In this diagram, you can see the data originating on the left, like it usually does, heads into over Kafka into Apache Spark to do some transformations, and then back out into Kafka, and like, where does it go? Like, it's unclear. You got to read the blog, and it says they write to a message bus like Kafka, which then goes to Cassandra or Redis for downstream integration into a business process. Business process, think front office application, thing that matters a lot, that always has to happen. Why are they doing this? Because they need fast point reads and writes. And this is how Cassandra and Redis do this. And the problem with these products is they don't do analytics. So let's dig into this workaround a little bit more. Say you have a data warehouse or a lakehouse, and the users are coming in. There's tons of users. You're ingesting tons of data. It's like, help me. I can't. Oh, too many users, too fast. I'm putting out the SOS. Okay, let's do the workaround. So let's see what we're going to do here. So first, okay, we're going to ingest, like they said, we're going to go into Cassandra. It doesn't have to be Cassandra, really any OLTP, right? We're going to go in there, all right? And then that's going to relieve like some of the query speeds. Okay, but wait a minute, the data has to actually get into the data warehouse of the lakehouse, because that's where the analytics is happening. Okay, we're good. Wait a minute. Oh, the data warehouse is like, Cassandra they don't know how to do analytics. Okay, so Cassandra can't do the analytics. So, okay, what do we do about that? Well, that's fine. Okay, so the users, the application in this sense will talk to two databases. Like, so sometimes we'll talk to Cassandra, sometimes we'll talk to the data warehouse. And really, if you highlight the whole thing and you have the different databases and you have developers, they can hit both databases at the same time, as long as you diagram that. And that, I think it's definitely doable in order to have this solution.
Dave, I think you're not being fair to the data warehouses here. Like, this is too complicated. Aren't you forgetting what data warehouses can do? They have a silver bullet for this: elastic compute. They can
Oh,
add compute.
yes, I forgot about elasticity. Okay, yes, good point. So if you went to the data warehouses, they're going to be like, wait a minute, you don't need all that, just scale up, right? That's why we have elasticity. That's why we separated storage and compute. Let's just, apply more compute to the problem, right? Problem with that, it's still not going to be fast enough, okay? The data warehouse and the data lakes, if they get a query down to like 2 seconds, like they're all like high-fiving each other, like, oh, it's so fast. Like, look at what we did. Like sub-second, like no way. Like that's not happening. All right. And then even in the cases where, they take you down from 10 seconds to 2 seconds, how much money does it cost? All that compute costs more money, which leads me to my third point, which is that both of these workarounds lead to uncontrolled cost. Now, the data warehouses and lakehouse might say, well, you don't have to worry about costs. We can scale, like you can switch me off when you're not running analytics. Okay, what's not getting switched off? The data that isn't being ingested all the time. All right, customers still want to look at it, can't totally turn it off. So you end up paying for speed. You end up paying for more databases. You end up paying for more data, moving data around. You got to have people to operate all these things. Costs just spiral out of control. There is a better way. Let me tell you about that. SingleStore delivers real-time ingestion, parallelized streaming ingestion, millions of events per second. We can do transformations in line in stored procedures at the termination of our pipelines. We can do fast analytics, low latency, sub-second, single-digit millisecond queries. All right, this is 10 to 100 times faster the performance of legacy databases. All right, and not just on OLTP queries, we can do these on analytical queries. All right, we can scale to thousands of concurrent users. Also, we're highly available. 4 nines of availability, point-in-time recovery, automated backups, everything you need to serve your front office analytical application use case. All right, now why can't data warehouses do this? Well, because of their architecture. Their writes go into the cloud object store. Our writes go into memory, which could be up to 2 orders of magnitude faster, and is replicated to our other to the disk in separated, isolated compute loads. Only then does it pass down to the object store. This is how we're able to do it. All right, let's dive into that architecture a little deeper. The data starts the data pipeline, writes into memory, the absolute fastest you can be. It is then moved to the persistent cache, where it can be replicated to other isolated compute loads instantly before it even gets to the object store, so that you can, have full separation of storage and compute and support a huge amount of data. And on top of this, we're able to use query aggregation to serve tons of users at the same time. We're doing all of this with multi-model, JSON, SQL, NoSQL, key value, time series, geospatial, vectors. We got it all. All right. And what this allows us to do is transact, analyze, and contextualize data in real time. What do I mean by transact? 10 million events per second, 100,000 of users looking up sub-second queries. I'm talking about analyzing in real time, right? It's not just the transactional queries that are fast. Huge amounts of data, unlimited storage, and separated workload, isolated workloads. So you can have different applications and different use cases against the same copies of the data without making a copy. Also, you can contextualize. We can do hybrid searches. We can join your data, join your vector search with OLTP and OLAP, and we've got first-class vector support, IVF, HNSW, all the algorithms you need in order to do your generative AI use case. So to summarize, you can get transactions, analytics, and vector search all in one place, all in real time. All of these boxes are things, there are specialty databases that only do those things. We can do all three. What does that allow us to do? Things like real-time streaming ingestion, sub-second analytical queries. We can take ETL jobs that take hours, reduce them to minutes, which one, makes your life easier, and two, has a huge cost reduction. We can do vector and full text search and regular SQL filtering with joins to analytical data all at the same time because of all these capabilities in one database. So you're not moving this data around using multiple databases. What does this end up looking like? Where do people deploy these solutions? As I mentioned, front office analytical apps. Sometimes that front office app is a dashboard that you want to run in real time. SingleStore is a great solution for that. Often you've got an ETL job that's taking hours to run. You need to bring that job down. You need to reduce the cost, reduce the time. We can do a great job of that. Often people characterize these databases as operational databases. You can do all these things. We fit into that slot nicely. And enterprise generative AI, you're doing, approximate nearest neighbor search on a ton of vectors. We can handle that too. So those are what the form factors look like. But what industries and use cases does this end up being used? Think about fraud detection. I have to determine in real time, should I reject this transaction? Is it fraudulent? That's a real-time analytical thing. I'm trying to serve recommendations on my website. Recommendations are very analytical. I have to figure out what to recommend to the right user, and I have to do it ultra fast. SingleStore is great for that. Everything to do with ad tracking, like I've got my cookies all over the internet, I'm tracking the performance of ads, anything to do with ad networks and figuring out the engagement levels and optimizations. SingleStore gets used for this all the time. Financial quotes. We have a huge number of financial customers. Financial data has to be ultra fast. You want to do analytics on it. We are widely deployed in that space. Cybersecurity. I want to look for like an intruder in my network. How am I doing that? I've got like a fire hose of events. I'm looking at those events. I've got to look at them in real time. I got to do highly selective queries on those things. I have to do analytical queries on those things in order to see if that event is suspicious. We have a ton of customers doing this. Supply chain operations. We've got a ton of customers figuring out, they want to figure out, what product should I put on the truck right before to go to my different distribution centers, my different stores. Every minute that this is slow and out of date costs them money. They put the wrong products on trucks. Makes a huge difference. IoT monitoring, the monitoring of sensors on anything from, a hard drive, a tractor, an oil rig, whatever it is, you got to be able to watch that in real time, and you got to look for anomalies. Network monitoring is the same thing. I want to observe the performance of my network. Monitoring of anything really is a huge number of events that are being analyzed in real time. We're great for all these things, and that's why SingleStore is so popular. These joint capabilities come up in so many use cases. All right, so with that, I want to hand it over to my buddy Abby, who's going to talk about, should you augment or replace?
Thanks so much, Dave. That was awesome. So if I could summarize what you told us, basically what you're saying is if it comes to front office applications, they need to serve more than a couple hundred customer or users, and they require low latency queries. And the analytics has to be on fresh data, there is no other solution. There is nothing better than SingleStore. So, okay, if we agree to that, at this point, our audience is probably wondering, so, is SingleStore an add-on database? I need to add one more database, which is like an augmentation strategy, or can I actually use it to consolidate multiple databases? Can I replace databases? Okay, so let's get into that. So both augmenting and replacing can be really viable strategies. So let's talk about scenarios. Let's talk about a few examples that will illustrate. Next slide, please. So um, our recommendation is very simple, right? So you can augment when you have traditional data warehouse workloads. So you need to run BI queries on historical data, right? Petabyte scale data. So historical meaning the data does not need to be fresh data, right? Or you can augment if you do not want to replace everything. You've got lots of use cases. You don't want to replace everything with SingleStore just yet. So, introduce SingleStore in your stack, run your queries on fresh data. That's a pretty good augmentation strategy. But if none of that is true, just simply replace your data warehouse with SingleStore, right? So if that way you get maximum cost savings, you get maximum simplicity in your data estate, fewer databases, no Kafka queues, no ETL tools, no overhead, staffing, training, maintenance, no overhead to manage all of those things, right? So that's the optimal solution. In either case, it does not make any sense to use a data warehouse scenario to serve customer-facing analytical applications. So let's talk about a few examples, Dave. So we've got close to hundreds of customers who do this all the time. So we call this front office analytical applications, and these are just three analytical applications that we've built using SingleStore, or customers have built using SingleStore. So Outreach, ZoomInfo, and 6sense. So let's talk about Outreach first. Outreach is a sales execution platform, and the company builds a lot of front office applications. They want to show metrics to their end customers in their application. So they take data around outbound, they run analysis on it, and show their customers what works, what doesn't work. The thing is, this is a SaaS application. When you load a SaaS application, your customers are not going to wait on the metrics, right? So you have a choice to make. You can show stale metrics, in which case your customers wouldn't wait, but the metrics would be old, right? Or you can use cocktail solutions, since data warehouses aren't really good at building apps, so you would need to clobber together other databases and build out an application, because otherwise you'll just be slow. What Outreach did instead was they augmented their data warehouse. So they had Google BigQuery, they had Databricks. So they augmented both these solutions with SingleStore, and for those workloads, they replaced those workloads with SingleStore. They saved $1.2 million. They 3x'd their query performance, and they can now run over 40,000 concurrent queries. Who doesn't want that, right? Okay, let's take a look at another example, replacement. So this is a company called ZoomInfo. ZoomInfo is a platform, again, they provide insights, they do in-depth IP tracking for companies who want to analyze visitors for their website. And they basically, what they do is they reveal previously anonymous leads, and they're able to identify, the visitors their company, their customers are from. I mean, the companies their visitors are from. So ZoomInfo, they previously leveraged Google BigQuery as their data platform, and this using a data warehouse had an impact on their analytical performance. It impacted their analytics, and this was a SaaS offering as well. So this lower query response really impacted the way that they could expand to other customers. They were not able to provide service to larger customers, and so they had to find a different solution. And the solution they were looking for needed to be, high performance, low TCO as compared to BigQuery, and they were spending a ton of money on their existing solutions. So they wanted to really cut down costs, and so they were looking for a vendor that would not be, vendor agnostic. So BigQuery was obviously constrained to the Google Cloud. So they wanted to have freedom to move to other clouds. They wanted high concurrency, and they wanted the ability to scale up and down easily. So SingleStore was able to exceed all of these requirements. We delivered 24 times the query performance and delivered $1.2 million in cost savings to ZoomInfo. I want to take one more example. Now, this one is 6sense. Of course, we augmented, we replaced in this example, but interesting is what's most interesting is that this is a replacement of a broader solution set. So this is a replacement of what you might consider components of a lakehouse, which this included a Hadoop file system. It included MySQL, a transactional database, and Presto, a query engine. So 6sense, again, kind of like the other companies that we talked about, but they're a company that builds a platform. And that platform provides, it specializes in account engagement and revenue intelligence. Basically, it's B2B sales and marketing focused, and they serve analytics to their end customers. By consolidating to SingleStore from among all these databases, they reduced their TCO by 80%. We were 3 to 5 times faster than Vertica, another solution that they were considering, and we brought down the time to value for 6sense's customers. We cut it down in half. So that's the power of SingleStore. That's how you can use augmentation or replacement strategies, and you can choose what you want to do when. So that's how real world customers take advantage of SingleStore, both to reduce costs and improve performance for their end customers. With that, let's take a look at what we have for you. Diogo?
Thank you, Abhi. Just give me a second. So we are offering everyone $600 in free credits and a free swag. If you scan the QR code today, a solutions architect will reach out to you. They will understand your needs. They will try to create a POC with you and have a meeting with you guys. So take your time to scan this right now. I'll send the link through the chat here in a couple of minutes. So take full advantage of the benchmarking speed test today.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the open questions. I want to take this one, although you talked about it, Dave. We had a question from Yogi. Can you share some details on how SingleStore detects fraud and the cybersecurity scenarios for anomaly detection, malicious traffic, and so on? Dave, you want to take that? Oh, you're on mute.
Absolutely. So as I was talking about on the broadcast, that cybersecurity, we are uniquely suited to that because the nature of that workload is that you're looking for malicious events in real time, and you need to do analytics on them to see what is a really unusual event and what isn't, and you need to respond in real time to the to the product to enable it to like take action in time to kind of stop the attacker or shut down the the request that's coming in. We have a ton of customers doing that. We posted a notebook with a lot of details in there, and with one of the most popular use cases is SingleStore.
And we had one or more than one question about estimating costs. So folks, our pricing is transparent. We just go to singlestore.com/pricing. You will be able to compare SingleStore pricing across editions, across deployment options. If you need anything else, let us know. Reach out to us. We can help you out there. On that web page, you'll also find an estimator for pricing. So input some values on storage and consumption or compute consumption. You'll be able to estimate what you can get. But I think the most important thing to remember is when comparing pricing is what you're comparing with, and it's like to like. What the power that SingleStore gives you in ingest speed, that kind of directly translates to saved costs. And you can also replace multiple other databases that are costly to run on other on other solutions with SingleStore. So we can help you make accurate comparisons. Just reach out. Okay, we can take maybe one more question. If you can bring up the Q&A slide, Dave. Let's see if you have any other questions from the audience. Okay, I don't see anything else. Diogo, let's maybe wrap this up.
Yeah. I want to thank then Dave and Abby for the presentation. A big thank you to all attendees for joining the webinar today. Look out for a follow-up email from us, which will contain the recording of today's session, as well as the link to our promotional offer. We're excited to offer each user $600 in free credits and understand your needs. So don't hesitate to start a conversation with us. For those interested in our future events, feel free to explore more at singlestore.com/events. Once again, thank you for your participation and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.